Have you ever sat on your couch, staring at a half-empty bag of chips, watching an interview with an Olympic athlete, and genuinely wondered if you belong to the same species? I mean, think about it. These people spend hours doing the most boring stretches imaginable. They practice the exact same basic movement 10,000 times. They sleep a perfect 9 hours every night without fail. And they somehow shrug off bad breakups or massive life stress like it is absolutely nothing. It is so easy to look at them and think they were just born different. We tell ourselves that their brains must be wired to enjoy the pain, while the rest of us average folks are just stuck with a defective willpower switch. But I am going to let you in on a little secret that completely changed how I look at my own life. True discipline is actually easy. Or at least, it becomes easy once you understand how it actually works. You do not need to undergo a genetic mutation to get your life together. And you certainly do not need to torture yourself with endless willpower every single morning. I used to think that staying disciplined meant waking up at 4 in the morning, yelling at myself in the mirror, and forcing my body through pure misery. But a while back, I heard a story about a professional competitive athlete that completely flipped my perspective. This guy was at the absolute top of his game, training like a machine every single day. Then, he got into a minor car accident. It was nothing life-threatening, but it messed up his back just enough that he had to take a full 8 months off to heal. When he finally recovered, everyone expected him to make a huge comeback, but he never went back to the sport. When his friend asked him why he quit, his answer was incredibly simple. He said he had lost his momentum. He explained that it takes infinitely more energy and mental effort to get a heavy machine up to full speed from a dead stop than it does to just keep it rolling once it is already moving. He said when you are at the top, you are really just lightly tapping the ball along to keep it going. That phrase completely stuck with me. Tapping the ball along. It makes you realize that the hardest part of any good habit is not the actual work itself. It is the friction of starting over. Think back to when the lockdowns happened a few years ago. Maybe you had a great gym routine or a solid study habit going. Then, the world shut down for a few months. Even when things opened back up, did you find yourself struggling for years just to get back to that exact same routine? I used to be like that too. It takes an agonizing amount of mental energy to rebuild something from scratch once your daily momentum is broken. When you see an elite performer who looks unstoppable, you are not seeing someone who possesses superhuman willpower every single day. You are seeing someone who has managed to keep their momentum alive for years, often since they were kids. For many of them, this intense lifestyle was initially set up by strict coaches or parents when they were too young to even argue about it. By the time they grew up, that crazy routine was just their normal baseline. It takes just as much emotional effort for them to stop working out as it takes for you to start. On top of that, we have to talk about how our brains handle chemical rewards. Some people genuinely get a massive, immediate hit of dopamine from intense physical activity. For them, running 10 miles feels like a reward, but sitting down to study a textbook for 30 minutes feels like absolute mental torture. You might be the exact opposite. You can probably get lost in a book or a project for hours without breaking a sweat. But the mere thought of packing a gym bag, driving through traffic, and lifting heavy weights feels like a massive chore. We all have different baselines for what feels rewarding, and it is a total trap to compare your internal struggle against someone else who is literally getting a natural high from the exact thing you hate doing. We also have to acknowledge the reality of survivor bias. The famous athletes we see on television are the tiny percentage of people who had the perfect combination of natural talent, extreme genetic luck to avoid career-ending injuries, and a solid environment. If you do not have all three, it does not mean you are a failure. It just means you are a normal human being living a normal life. Plus, those elite performers rarely ever do it entirely on their own. They usually have an entire support system built around them to completely remove everyday friction. They have coaches holding them accountable, nutritionists prepping their meals, and family members handling the daily chores like cleaning the house or managing the bills. When your only job is to eat, sleep, and train, staying disciplined is a whole lot easier. For the rest of us living in the real world, we are trying to build habits while working a stressful job, managing relationships, and paying rent. Now, look, if you see those influencers online talking about how they make millions of dollars a year just from being disciplined, remember that a massive financial reward is a giant motivator. I am not a financial advisor or some high-paid guru, but I know that if someone offered you $5 million a year to breathe your hobby, you would probably become incredibly disciplined overnight too. But you do not need $1 million contract to start changing things today. The real trick to turning discipline from a painful chore into something easy is to focus entirely on managing your momentum. If you have fallen off the wagon and you are trying to get back on, stop trying to go from 0 to 100 instantly. If you used to work out 5 days a week but stopped, do not try to force yourself back into that intense schedule right away. You will just burn out, feel miserable, and quit all over again. Instead, you need to practice what I like to call greasing the groove with tiny, ridiculous baby steps. If you want to get back into shape, tell yourself that you are only going to do 2 very light workouts a week, or even just take a short walk in the woods. Do not even worry about the intensity or tracking your progress perfectly yet. Your only goal right now is to just get the wheel spinning again, no matter how slowly it turns. You also need to engineer your own mini support system by actively removing friction from your environment. If you want to eat healthier, do not rely on your willpower when you are starving at midnight. Prep some basic snacks beforehand so the healthy choice is already the easiest choice available. If you want to read more, put a book directly on your pillow in the morning so you practically trip over it when you go to bed. The goal is to make the right choice take the absolute least amount of mental effort possible. Once you get that small momentum going, protect it like your life depends on it. Even on your absolute worst days when you have zero energy, do not let your streak drop to a total 0. If you cannot do a full workout, just do 5 push-ups on your bedroom floor. If you cannot study for 2 hours, just read 1 single page of your book. By doing that micro action, you are keeping the momentum alive. You are keeping the ball rolling forward. Even if it is just by an inch, it keeps your brain in the game and prevents you from having to face that brutal, agonizing friction of starting all over again from a dead stop. Over time, those tiny taps on the ball start to add up, and before you know it, you are moving at full speed without even feeling like you are trying. I want you to try this out for yourself starting today. Pick one small habit you have been avoiding, and drop the expectations down to a level that feels ridiculously easy to accomplish. Tell me down in the comments what your tiny 1% action is going to be for today so we can keep each other accountable. If this fresh perspective helped you realize that you are not broken, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Let us stop forcing discipline and just start tapping the ball along together.